2019 is almost over, and there was a lot of great games that came out this year. And as a fan of gaming, not only is it a time to celebrate these great games, but it's a way to help others discover great games that they may have overlooked. So with that said, this is my Game of the Year edition, but instead of just choosing one great game, I will be talking about the top 15 best games of 2019. Now, of course, just as any of my lists, this is only an opinion, so yours may be different. And if it is, let me know in the comments below on what your favorite games was this year. I love reading your comments, and I understand everybody views things differently. So with that said, let's get right into it. At number 15, I have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is one of the best Star Wars games ever made. And for that reason, I am positive that Star Wars fans are going to be excited about this. In fact, I could see many people ranking it as the best game of 2019. Jedi's Fallen Order is an interesting game though, developed by the creators behind both Titanfall and Apex Legends, Respawn Entertainment. They basically took Dark Souls, mixed in a little Uncharted, gave you a lightsaber, blended it all together to make one miraculous game. Without a doubt, Jedi Fallen Order deserves the praise it has gotten, and not only should Star Wars fans check this game out, but fans of gaming in general. To be completely honest, I wanted to rank Pokemon Sword and Shield a lot higher, as it is one of my favorite games this year. Sword and Shield, like other mainline Pokemon games, tends to stick with the tried and true formula, which may not be the evolution some fans wanted, but Game Freak also did something that I will forever be grateful for, and that is making Pokemon more streamlined, and really removing some of that grind that we're so used to. The thing is, if you just play Pokemon games for only their story, you may be left disappointed. But the competitive side of things is where Sword and Shield shines, as it has never been easier to get a competitive team together, rather than spending days and days worth of grinding. Sure, it doesn't have every Pokemon in the game, but what it does have is done very well. The Pokemon has never looked better, and the wild area is one of the best ideas I've seen the Pokemon franchise have. When it comes to tactical RPGs, Fire Emblem Three Houses is arguably the best we've ever seen. The combat is exceptional with well thought out boards, so much so, it's almost like playing a game of chess, especially if you turn on permadeath for the extra challenge. It also boasts a solid story, and there is a social aspect to it as well, similar to something like the Persona franchise. Though I think the thing that really stands out to me is just how much content is in this game. See, at the beginning of the game you get to choose one of 3 different classes, hence the title of the game, Three Houses. Each house has their own character and stories. Because of these, you can play the game 3 separate times with a completely different scenario, making this game well over 100 hours long. That is massive, but it's also of high quality. A Plague Tale often goes under the radar for many people, as many AA games does, but this really shouldn't be the case. Asobo has really created something very special with A Plague Tale. It has one of the best stories of the entire year, and may even be one of the best of this generation. It has several emotional moments, and it's a unique narrative as well. Really, even the gameplay is original as you trudge through the plague-ridden world. It is a linear game, which is a good thing in my opinion, especially if you have been burned out a little on most games going the more open world direction. But yes, if you like story-driven games, then A Plague Tale will be right up your alley. See, on this channel, I don't just talk about big AAA games, as I enjoy all kinds of different games, including this amazing 2D platformer, Yooka-Laylee, and the Impossible Lair. And I enjoyed this game so much that I'm tempted to say it cracked my all-time best 2D platformer list. See, what Playtonic has done here is made a bit of a spiritual successor to the old Donkey Kong franchise, while also mixing it with the newer Donkey Kong, and threw in some Zelda isometric puzzles for one brilliant package. Seriously, if you like 2D platformers even a little bit, don't overlook this one. Cracking the top 10 is Disco Elysium, and really you either like these old school RPGs or you don't. But for those who do, are going to love this game. It is a very text-heavy game with a lot of dialogue as the protagonist wakes up unknowing of who he is or how he got there. All he knows is that he is a cop and he must solve a case of a man hanging in a tree. and he only knows this much because he was told as much. It's a fascinating premise as you shape this man's life, but everything just feels so strange that you're drawn into the world to find out more and more. If I were to compare this to any game, it would probably be Planescape Torment, which is often considered one of the greatest RPGs ever for its well-written story. Disco Elysium in that regard is very similar, so if you like that game, you're in for a great game. Devil May Cry 5 seems to have gotten snubbed on a few different Games of the Year lists by this point, but not on this one. And honestly, I could see many people ranking this at least in the top 5, if not higher. Capcom once again brought a franchise back from the death, and not only did it do a good job, but it exceeded all expectations. This is a fantastic game, especially in terms of its gameplay. The hack and slash mechanics almost feel like it's a fighting game with several combos that you can mix and match together. And if you like challenging games, you can also get that with Devil May Cry 5. So in just pure gameplay, it's one of the best of this year. The story is also fun with its over-the-top characters, and it's a stunning game to watch in motion. For fans of beat-em-up games, Devil May Cry 5 is a must-have. The masterpiece, the legend, The Outer Wilds. If there was a surprise game of this year, it's The Outer Wilds for sure. I literally paid no attention to this game at all until it dropped on Xbox Game Pass day one, and then I just happened to try it out. Well, I'm glad I did, and I will say there has been no game this year that has held my attention for as long of periods of time as The Outer Wilds did. It's hard to explain why this game is so good though, but when you play it, you just know. There is a mystery in the universe and several planets to explore to find out those mysteries. And the more you solve, the more you want to know. You begin to feel like a scientist continuously looking for new discoveries across the universe. The Outer Wilds is a simple premise, but its execution will have this game remembered for years and years. Sekiro is one of the most difficult games I've ever played, and even makes other From Software games easy in comparison. Sekiro excels in its combat though, which isn't surprising coming from the creators of Dark Souls, but it mixes things up by making the game revolve around parrying and managing your own stamina. It's a rush to play, but only for those seeking an extreme challenge. One of the first bosses I faced in Sekiro took me nearly 2 hours to defeat, though I did later learn I wasn't actually supposed to face this boss just yet. But I never gave up, and when I finally did win, I was overjoyed and proud of my achievement. And this is why I love to seek a challenge, because the triumph is even more rewarding. And if you're anything like me, you will come away loving Sekiro. Platinum Games does it once again with yet another fantastic game in Astral Chain. It's a very creative game, especially in terms of its combat, and I can't really think of anything that's quite like it. See, the world of Astral Chain is being attacked by an invisible alien threat, but the protagonist, which is a part of the police force, has access to Elysium, which is a living creature that you can command. This is where the game is really interesting, as you command both the Legion and the protagonist. It can be a little difficult at first, but once you figure out how to string combos together, nothing feels quite like it. There are several different legions and weapons as well to really mix up the combat. The story is also intriguing, though I do wish the protagonist wasn't silent, and the stylized art style really pops off the screen. It actually is one of the best looking games I've seen on the Switch, but yes, Astral Chain is excellent from top to bottom. I could have so easily put Remedy's Control higher on this list, because this game is incredibly good that it's almost frustrating that more people haven't played this game. And unless something changes, this may go down as one of the best cult classics ever. See, the thing is, this game is one of the most creative games I've ever played, as the building around you shifts and forms, and the protagonist manipulates a plethora of different powerful abilities to unlock the secrets of the building and world around her to find her brother. The story itself is captivating, but when you see this game in action, especially during more action-packed sequences, you begin to see what is so special about it. And it's not only because it's just creative, but also because it's fun. This game deserves so much more attention than it has gotten, but I will say this. I played Control on Xbox One X, which looked phenomenal. though I have heard its performance isn't the best on base consoles such as the original PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Even then, this game is just too good to ignore. Obsidian Entertainment has been making great RPGs for a long time. They're arguably the best RPG developer in the entire industry, so it should be no surprise that The Outer Worlds is as exceptional as it is. It took Mass Effect and Fallout and mixed them together for one of the best RPGs of not just 2019, but this entire generation. The writing is some of the best you'll see in video games as you meet character after character with their own unique personality. It often has a witty charm to it, almost poking fun at corporate culture. The combat is great too, and it takes inspiration from the Fallout franchise and even has its own time manipulation ability, but I actually think it's better than Fallout. What I really like though, is it has several planets to explore with lots of different environments to see. It's not like your typical open world game, but packs more into each world than many open worlds does. The truth is, if you like either Fallout or Mass Effect, then you will more than likely love The Outer Worlds. Isometric Zelda games have always been some of my favorite games of all time, so when they first announced Link's Awakening, I loved the idea in theory, though the art style at first glance just wasn't my thing. But then when I actually played it, it looked phenomenal. And oh, how I wish more games played like this. In Link's Awakening, you're dropped on an open world island, but it isn't an overly large world. You can explore the entire island relatively quick, but rather it's about uncovering the secrets of the island as you continue to solve puzzle after puzzle in the overworld. And with each boss you defeat, you then start to learn things may not appear just as they seem, which really, Link's Awakening is one of the better Zelda stories. And that is the thing, even though this is a remake of a game from the 90s, it still holds up incredibly well today, even in 2019. A part of me wants to place this game in the #1 spot because Gears 5 is a truly massive game. But it's not just because it's a big game with a lot of content, but rather because all of the content is so good. It has a good single-player campaign with an alluring story, interesting characters, and plenty of set pieces. It does falter from time to time, but overall the story is well done. And then there is the multiplayer, which is one of the best of the entire generation. This should be no surprise to Gears fans though, as they know just how good the third-person shooter mechanics is in Gears. Then you can also have cooperative gameplay, horde, and escape. That is where Gears 5 truly shines because unlike most games that come out today, you can buy Gears and enjoy both its multiplayer and single player because both are outstanding. That is such a rare thing in today's game industry, and the Coalition deserves more credit for this achievement. And the Game of the Year goes to none other than Resident Evil 2 Remake. And while it may seem odd to some that a remake of a game in 1998 is the Game of the Year, it goes as a testament on just how good this game actually is. There has been a reason that people have talked about the older Resident Evil games for well over 2 decades, and that's because they're some of the best games ever made. And Capcom remade this game with flying colors. It's not a carbon copy of the original and has made several changes to it. But as you explore the police station and other locales in Resident Evil 2, you will be absorbed in the haunted surroundings. And while this is a scary game, it's not so scary that non-horror games will not be able to play it. I'm not a horror fan myself. I, however, am a fan of Metroidvania games, which Resident Evil 2 very much is, as you backtrack to unlock areas that you previously couldn't reach. With each step you gain just a little bit more confidence, and you kind of let go of that original fear. The story itself is very good too, with memorable and likable characters. So yes, Resident Evil 2 is my Game of the Year for 2019. Anyways though, that's it for this video, but if I missed any game you think deserves to be on this list, don't hesitate to let me know in the comments below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to hit that bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Peace out.